Hello everybody, this is Luc, and as you can see I am not in Belgium, I'm in Atlanta. Sitting next to me is Daryl Conner, one of the founding fathers of change management, and he agreed to do this small interview with me on the importance of degrees and certifications for organizational change practitioners. Hi Daryl.
Hi.
It's good to be back again here.
Good to have you here. Yes.
Thank you. And about the importance of degrees and certifications, what we see now is that there's a lot of certifications for organizational change practitioners and degrees, both in business schools and in institutions coming up. I would think that's very good news.
Mm. Well, I think there's good aspects to it. What it brings is a common definition of what the profession is about. It helps establish criteria for excellence, not only for new practitioners, but frankly for the marketplace, for customers, so the clients they have something to measure against, if you will. And so I think there's a lot of positive aspects. I also have some concerns.
Yeah.
In fact, most of the certifications I've had exposure to seem to be doing an excellent job of determining what a practitioner should know, what the practitioner has done in the past, and what they should be capable of doing forward. What's missing is there doesn't seem to be any attention being paid to who the practitioner is. So it's more what we do rather than who we are. And that, since my belief is we carry both into the client situation, there's nothing wrong with the certifications, but it still seems short of what we as a profession need to be attentive to.
So your approach is, or your viewpoint is, it's a little bit too limited, only focusing on knowledge, skills and past experiences, and it should rather be focusing, or we are missing an aspect of the being of an organizational change practitioner.
What I would say, Luke, I don't even know that it's possible to certify in what I'm talking about. So maybe it's to be clear among ourselves and with our clients that certification is not the same thing as being good in this field.
Yeah.
Certification is a necessary but not sufficient criteria for excellence, I think.
Like a minimal.
It's a minimum.
Yeah.
So it's the difference between being a journeyman and a master. A journeyman knows all the techniques, and that's it. They're a technician. Mastery has to do with wisdom, and wisdom doesn't just come from doing something a long time. It comes from being centered in who you are. So I really don't fault the certification process as much as let's all be very clear about what that certification means. When I have 2 or 3 letters after my name, it doesn't mean that I am fully prepared. It means I have advanced beyond a particular stage, and that's an important stage. Now, what else should I do to deepen my ability to bring value to clients? I actually think that once we've established those knowledge bases, and I think actually they come first, then I think we need to dive into who we are.
Yeah, and as we've been talking about this topic on the insufficiency of degrees and certifications, you told me that there's something else that you are doing as a person, as a company, and it's called SOC. Can you talk a little bit on that, on SOC? So as a company, we've tried to foster this notion of beyond what we know, how do we bring forward who we are? And so as a company, we've established a number of characteristics that we think reflect character. And that character leads to if you display a certain character with a client, you bring a particular presence. And from our standpoint, we're bringing tools and techniques and methodology and a certain presence. So we pay a lot of attention to who we hire. Do they have a predisposition for that presence? We spend a lot of time talking as an organization. What we mean by strength of character has many characteristics to it. So SOC is strength of character.
I'm sorry,
right?
Strength of character is how we refer to it.
Right.
And I'll just say courage is one of them, or just one characteristic. we pay a lot of attention to the kind of courage that we need to bring to a client situation. For example, many of our clients are used to consultants that will pretty much tell them whatever they want to hear. And it's not our intent to disrupt clients, but our primary allegiance is actually not to the client, it's to practicing the craft. Mm-hmm. And if our craft, if practicing our craft means we've diagnosed something and at the heart of the problem is the CEO who hired us, we're obligated to tell the CEO just that. But by strength of character, what we're talking about, do we have the courage to do that? Yeah. And by the way, not the courage to do it just when we have plenty of business. Yeah. Do we always live by that standard? So that's an example of what I mean about beyond what we do, who we are. So it's the combination of those two. So strength of character is how we at Conner Partners try to bring forward that part of the work.
And so how does it work in practice? I don't think it's with a degree or certification or a question list. It's more part of the process, part of the conversation, part of the recruitment, you say. And is it, I would say obviously it's also part of the conversation continuously and the evaluation you have with your customers.
It is, but actually we don't talk about strength of character to our customers,
so you
to our
don't
clients.
Advertise for it?
No. It's our belief that if we advertised, we would be promoting it instead of being it. Mm-hmm. So we don't tell clients what we do in the background to foster this, but what we do tell them is that we want to relate to them in a very specific way. So we're very, very upfront with them about the level of honesty that we feel like that we need to bring to the situation. So we've always felt like that if we were too public about SOC, strength of character, it might get turned around and become a promotional marketing tool, and it needs to come from our heart.
It would become more hollow as a concept.
It could, and so we just want to be careful about that.
So you're very cautious about promoting it, about talking about it.
Well, talking about it to you in front of these people is more than we normally talk about it. Yeah.
Well, the last question I have is, when we're talking a little bit to a large community of organizational change practitioners, both beginners and people who are advanced in the field. All of these people, or the majority of these people, do not work for your company. What can I, as a simple or independent organizational change practitioner, learn from strength of character, or what should I be looking for, or how could I develop myself? What would be my first steps?
For me, strength of character is getting very clear about who I am as a person, and bringing all of that forward. And instead of looking for a client who will pay me for whatever they want me to do, look for clients who value who I am. Not just what I know, but how I relate to them, how I relate to myself, how I relate to my colleagues. And it's not everybody. Not every client will resonate with who I am. But instead of me, and so my recommendation is all of us as practitioners, we don't need a strength of character document or anything else. If we can just get brutally honest with ourselves about who we are, and assume that's my market. My market, I'll use a metaphor. If who I am is a broadcast signal, and I'm a beacon broadcasting out, instead of creating a practice around anybody who has a radio, and that my job is to try to tune to what that radio is to turn around and say, if I'm just who I am, who's got the radio on at that frequency and would value that, and really feel like that I can just be in who I am and what I know combined would truly help them during their change. That's kind of at the essence of what strength of character is for me. So you don't have to have an elaborate process or anything else. As an individual practitioner, to me, you can bring what you know and your strength of character. Here's what you have to be careful about, though. You have to be willing to not pursue all the business you could get.
I was thinking about that, because what you're actually saying is that we should become a little bit more conscious about what the connection is between us and the customer. If we hit it off in the right way, if we connect in the right way, and if the relationship should it be always a good relationship, or?
Um, Personally, I don't think that we should always be working for clients that like us. And I know that sounds very strange.
Yeah.
What I think is more important is for the client to get value out of working with me. Not necessarily, now if they dislike me, it wouldn't work. But I don't think my job is to make their life easy. I think my job is to help them make informed decisions. And some of those decisions are going to be awfully hard to make, difficult to discuss. So in some respects, I'm actually going to be associated with discomfort, not comfort. That's a good example of, am I here to make the client happy, or am I here to practice my craft?
Exactly.
And I'm looking for clients who, when I practice my craft, they find that valuable. That's the sweet spot.
And I think that's the one thing we will not find in a degree. That same question, am I here to practice my craft, or just to make the customer happy?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this clarification, Daryl. This was Luke and Daryl from Atlanta. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.